Alright, let's make a few changes to some of my decks. This is not to address any deficiencies in the decks. This is not to shore up any weaknesses. What this is, each deck in question has a piece that I want to put somewhere else. A piece that isn't absolutely demanded in the deck I'm altering, but could be better employed elsewhere. So first up is Kervik. Kervik, as some of you have said, is a bad deck, is a bad commander, but I encourage you to try it. Try it the way I built it. He's a lot of fun. The deck is designed to get Kervik into play as quickly as possible and keep him there. Recast him as often as necessary. So for 7, that's a lot of mana. 9 for the first commander tax, then 11. So it gets out of hand pretty quickly. That's why I have multiple ways of just putting him in the graveyard, getting him back that way, bouncing him back to my hand, and so on. Recasting him, using other effects such as my new Akul, the Unrepentant. Last game I played, my opponents were playing removal light decks, and being removal light, they could not handle Kervik with a Dark Steel Plate. And he just did what he does. Whenever they cast a spell, he did damage. He did a lot of damage that game. Oh my god, did he do a lot of damage. And, like I said, they just couldn't deal with him. So, what do I want to take out? Let me show you. Once I find it. Where is it? I know it's in here. Nope, it's not the last card in the pile. It's somewhere in... There it is. I'm taking out the memory jar. Don't really want to take out the memory jar. I just don't want to buy another one right now, and I need memory jar in Nekazar, the Nekazar rebuild. So memory jar 5, cast it, free, break it. Everybody puts aside their hand, draw 7 new cards, and then at the end of the turn, they discard the hands that they drew with the memory jar, and they go back to the original hand. And what's important is it triggers draw, which, if I have Nekazar out, will hurt them. So in place of memory jar, I'm going to put in this weird foil. I still like the art, I just don't know if I like the foiling process. I still haven't decided, even though I've had a few months to look at it and consider it. So Olivia, I already have a copy in Edgar Markov for 4, 2, 1 black, 1 red. She's a 3/3 legendary vampire with flying. And for 1 in a red, she can do 1 damage target creature. Not player, just a creature, but that creature becomes a vampire. So she stings it and infects it with the vampirism. She also gets bigger when she does this. And for 5, 3 black black, I can grab a vampire and gain control of it. And I'm thinking, with her, if I have times where I have excess mana, for lack of a better term, I mean, when do you really have excess mana? I can start grabbing my opponent's creatures, I can start using them, I can sacrifice them for Akul, the Unrepentant. I just want to give it a try. See if it works. The other card I could put in here, instead of Olivia Voldaren, is Phyrexian Obliterator. Phyrexian Obliterator costs 4 black. He is a 5/5, and whenever damage is dealt to him, the controller of that damage sacrifices that many permanents. So it's pretty brutal. I just think Olivia might be better. If you think differently, do let me know. Hit me up in the comments. Tell me if you think Phyrexian Obliterator is a better choice, and I will definitely consider it. Next up is Azami. We're going to make a change to Azami by taking out the Sword of Feast and Famine. It's right there. And with Azami, it's not cut and dried what I'm going to put in. This is a good card in Azami. Eventually, I will probably put it back into Azami because Tezzeret can find it. Tezzeret can neg 3, find Sword of Feast and Famine, and then I can equip it and swing. She's not really an attack deck, though. So, she's Tribal Wizards. 2, triple blue, 0/2, Legendary Wizard. Tap and untap wizard you control, draw a card. No tap symbol, no activated, just you have untapped wizards, you can tap and draw cards. Have fun. And I don't really know what I want to put in. So I've got Time Stream Navigator. 1 and a colorless for a 1/1 human pirate wizard. If I have the city's blessing, I can spend 4, tap her, put her on the bottom of my library, and take an extra turn. She's an early wizard, comes out into play quicker. So that leads me to want to put her in. And then if I want to be brutal, I could put in Supreme Inquisitor. Supreme Inquisitor is 3 blue for a 1/3. Tap 5 untapped wizards you control. Search target player's library for up to 5 cards and exile them. Gone. So if you have 10 wizards, that's 10 cards. Every batch of 5 wizards is 5 more cards. I've had this guy for a long time. He has never been in a zombie because he is so brutal. So I'm probably not going to put him in, but I do keep him in my box of, for lack of a better term, commander sideboard cards. So I take this box with me every time I go out. It's got a bunch of cards in it for different decks. So if some effect, some card isn't pulling its weight, I can make a change between rounds. So that's where he sits all the time, because if my opponents want to get mean, and if I have brought a zombie, which I usually don't, alright, I can fight fire with fire. I can start exiling all the good stuff from your libraries. Or I could put in the Cyclone Summoner. 5 blue, 7/7. He's pretty big. Comes into play. If I cast her from my hand, I bounce back all permanents except for giants, wizards, and lands. So I would bounce back probably a couple of Jamets, a few artifacts, Tezzard if he's there. But all my wizards would stay. So I wouldn't lose my board. Anybody else who didn't have the foresight to play wizards, they would lose their board. But they were probably going to board wipe anyway, so I just beat them to it. Alright, so that's kind of what I'm thinking. Time Stream Navigator, Cyclone Summoner. Taking. So, as I was saying before the doorbell rang, Cyclone Summoner or Time Stream Navigator. So she's got some hoops I have to jump through. I have to get the city's blessing, which isn't too hard. But taking an extra turn, I don't know, it'd be nice, but maybe that's less oppressive than a board wipe, and I don't have that many board wipes. I'm going to put the Cyclone Summoner in instead of the Sword of Feast and Famine. It might be the wrong thing to do. It might not be what you lads think I should do. So if it's not what you think I should do, let me know what you think I should do. Alright, so that's a zombie changed. Now for the last one. And the last one of the changes is pretty much purely cosmetic. So I've got Sygg the River Cutthroat. Sygg is my cheapest to cast commander. Blue, black, any combination, 1/3. He just sits there, and whenever my opponents hurt each other or I hurt them, he lets me draw cards, as long as they get hit for 3 or more. Only 1 card per turn, but it gets pretty reliable after pretty quickly. So I'm going to put this in here. I broke up Phoenix. Phoenix had the Underground Sea, so I'm going to put that in there. I'm also going to put in this Dimir Signet. The reason is, I don't like the Modern Masters Dimir Signet as much. I don't like the art as much. So that's the purely cosmetic change. I don't need to change it. I'm not taking out a card for a different card. I'm just taking out a card for different art. So where the hell is my Signet?
He looks like Peter Pan.
Yeah, he kind of does. He's an elf.
Yeah.
He runs around doing elf things in the woods.
Like shooting from a bow?
Shooting from a bow, talking to the trees, kissing the squirrels, smoking marijuana.
Why would
elf things.
Why would an elf smoke marijuana?
Because it's natural. And elves are nature people. So yeah, I just like this Demir Signet better. This one, I don't know, I'm not going to get rid of it. Mainly because it's not worth anything, so I wouldn't get anything out of it. So if I need another Signet, I've got one. Alright, let's get that C in here. That's what I'm taking out. And I think this is the last copy of Bojuka Bog I have in any of my decks. I've been taking them out slowly but surely of all my decks because they come into play tapped and they force me to exile somebody's graveyard. So even if I do not want to, I have to. So I have to pick on somebody. You have to pick on somebody. I prefer the cards that if you pick on somebody, it's because you're intentionally doing it. It's not for it. This is why I believe Sylvan Primordial was banned. Sylvan Primordial, in my opinion, was banned because it says you will destroy 3 target permanents, 1 for each opponent. If you have 3 opponents, 3 permanents. You have 2 opponents, and so on. because it forced the decision. If one of the lads you're playing with is behind and doesn't really have anything, you still have to blow something of his up and set him behind further. You have to. That's what the card says. So I believe if Primordial said may, you may destroy, it would have been much better in Commander. But it doesn't. Maybe they'll fix it. Anyway, I'm taking out the Bojuka Bog. And I'm putting in an Underground Sea, so Sygg has a bit more consistency across his colors. In this sea, this is funny, so I've got a friend, he plays Legacy. And I had an Underground Sea in better condition than this one, but it wasn't signed. He had this one in slightly worse condition signed, and he doesn't care about the signature, so he traded straight across. I was like, yeah, signed. And he was like, yeah, better condition. So I love those deals where everybody comes out happy. Everybody comes out ahead. Yeah, this is Sygg. Sygg, it's not really tribal specters because there's no tribal support for it, but he has a lot of specters, a lot of smaller creatures, creatures with less power than toughness. So I feel free to drop the Noetic Scales. If you've not heard of Noetic Scales before, and you've not had the chance to play with it, you don't want to play against it, you want to play with it. During each player's upkeep, return to owner's hand each creature that player controls with power greater than the number of cards in his or her hand. So, if somebody, turn 5, 6, they're down to 3 cards, you drop this. All those big creatures they've been casting get bounced back. And if they're tokens, they get bounced back permanently. They never come back. And if your creatures are small, kind of weak, you get to keep them. So you win. Silumgar, Dragon Lord. Alright, so those are the changes I'm making today. These have no home. These 2 do have a home. These would just go back in the sideboard box for when I've taken a zombie and the lads decide that they want to get nasty, and I will get nasty too.